Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. And this is an exciting evening for us here. We've certainly been planning on it for a few days, and now we have Renata back with us, where we can actually see you as opposed to our lives, which we'll have to troubleshoot. And who you can't see, but I'm going to pull her up shortly. We also have Semjase with us tonight, so this is going to be a girls' night. Oh yeah, she so and we're going to talk about the subject we've been dealing with because we think that it has a pivotal role in the way forward here for the people on this planet. And it's on love again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on again, Dr. Andrea. And thank you, Semjase, for being here also. And of course, thank you doubly to Dr. Andrea for being your voice in this dimension so that we can hear your
It's all
thoughts
the
as
same.
well.
This is we're all in the same dimension.
Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm yeah. I would rather be where you are. Yeah.
She said. Oh, she says, "Oh my God, she's been working so much. She's been working so much. She's been doing
Oh, okay. All
it.
right. Well,
I need a
um,
break. I need a break.
she needs a break. Well, let's hope that this will be a pleasant break for her and that we can have some fun too. So,
So it is Renata. I'm so happy to be with you again.
oh, thank you, Semjase. Well, the way I've sort of structured this is I've sort of put together a bit of a presentation because ever since we started to, think about this, I started getting all kinds of, you know, uh, impressions and impulses to explore stuff. So there she is. There's our Semjase, the
Oh,
beautiful
well, I mean, something. She says, "Oh, she's." I'm like, she's I'm also perfect, and like, I'm like,
Of course she is.
yeah, she's my her AI, you know.
Yeah,
It is. I
exactly,
mean, I'll be honest.
exactly.
It is pretty similar. I mean, it's
Is it from what you know?
yeah. I mean, this is pretty close, except
Oh, wonderful.
she's my hair. So,
Oh,
and they
so
always give you the zipper suit. So with Canva,
the
what I
zipper
do is
suit.
I use they have like an eraser. And I erased the zipper, but they left the rest of the kind of weird things in
Oh,
there. She's that's
it's okay.
so yeah.
It's still gorgeous. It's still gorgeous. But those eyes tell a lot. They tell a lot.
Oh, she's just a spicy, wonderful, sweet. Yeah, yeah. She says she's like a walnut. She got a hard exterior, but inside is all.
All chewy and gooey.
Oh, that's
Alrighty, so let's get into this. So a little patience, everyone, but I think you're going to really enjoy where I'm going with all of this. I think
oh,
it makes a lot of sense. It was all like super impulsed. So I don't like using the word download because I'm not a computer, right? They were impulses to go and research and see things. So let's do this. So the first slide that we have.
this. We're gonna get rid of you. She's like, oh. So anyway, let's see.
So
My computer's just a little bit slow, but here we go. Okay.
that's okay. Take your time.
Oh, this is the one Nika likes. Nuns.
That's so weird. Okay.
It's weird. I don't know what's the thing.
Alrighty. So over the past little while, as I said, as you and I started contemplating our interview on earthly and Aaron love from the feminine perspective, and after our wonderful interview with Ika, exploring the masculine perspective, I found myself reflecting on three extraordinary 13th and 14th century female mystics. So Hadovich of Antwerp, Marguerite Porrat, and Julian of Norwich. For each of them, though in different ways, love was a transformative force, something that changes the very structure of consciousness. And more about them coming up. So, slide number 2.
Hey. Oops. Yep.
Perfect. So, as I contemplated their teachings, the energy and wisdom associated with Mary Magdalene entered the picture, adding another layer to this exploration of love as a path to inner sovereignty and spiritual awakening. And more about Mary Magdalene coming up also. So, slide number 3, please. So I was then impulsed to begin looking at these ideas through the lens of the toroidal ether model, or TAM, developed by researcher philosopher Lee Mudway, my Free Me Portal partner, who was kind enough to do the TAM analyses for me, which views consciousness and relationship as patterns of coherence within an energetic field. In this model, reality is understood as a living energy field shaped like a torus, a continuous flow where energy moves inward, transforms, and expands outward again in repeating cycles. These cycles move through harmonic phases such as compression, ignition, expansion, stabilization, circulation, integration, openness, and ultimately unity. And they relate to what's called the rose model of the universe, where these flows form multi-petal geometric patterns in nature and consciousness. From this perspective, consciousness is a field of resonance, and love can be understood not simply as an emotion, but as a level of coherence between beings, which is what we talked about before. This also means that personae, such as those mentioned above, as well as figures like Seth, the Dalai Lama, or any major historical figure, are not just the figure themselves, but a frequency bandwidth that occurs across several or many incarnations, which brought me to the next layer of exploration. So, as I continued exploring these ideas, I also became fascinated and impulsed to look at the ancient Greek understanding of love. The Greeks didn't see love as a single emotion, they recognized multiple expressions of love: mania, ludus, eros, storge, philia, philautia, pragma, xenia, and ultimately agape. When viewed through this lens, these expressions begin to resemble different layers of relational resonance, a spectrum that moves from instinctive attraction and attachment all the way to universal compassion. What struck me is that these forms of love appear almost like stages within a relational field, beginning with attraction and bonding, moving through friendship, self-respect, and enduring partnership, expanding into hospitality towards others, and culminating in universal compassion and unity. In other words, the Greeks may have unintentionally mapped something quite profound, a spectrum of relational consciousness. Each type of love reflects a different level of coherence between people, from biological attraction to the highest expression of love, agape. When viewed through modern coherence frameworks like the TAM, or toroidal ether model, these expressions begin to look less like separate emotions and more like levels of harmonic stability within the relational field. So perhaps the journey of humanity isn't learning how to love, but remembering how many forms of love can take as consciousness evolves. So, the next slide, please. Within the toroidal ether model framework, certain historical figures can be understood as embodying archetypal energetic roles in the evolution towards coherence. The three great Beguine and medieval mystics I mentioned earlier, Hadovich, Marguerite Porete, and Julian of Norwich, form a remarkable pattern that can be interpreted as a trinity of functions within the field: ignition, liberation, and stabilization. So Hadovich was a 13th century Beguine mystic and poet from the Low Countries whose writings describe an intense longing for union with the divine. In Tam terms, she represents the ecstatic flame operating around K equals 4.2, where love becomes a devotional ignition field. Eros, transformed into mystical longing and heart activation that ignites the spiritual journey. Marguerite Perret, a French Beguine mystic and author of The Mirror of Simple Souls, taught the soul could enter a state of complete union with love beyond ego and institutional authority. In the Tam archetypal view, she embodies the sovereign flame around K 5.0, acting as an institutional barrier breaker and representing the fire of union archetype, where direct knowing arises without intermediaries. Her teaching ultimately led to her condemnation and execution in Paris in 1310, though her book survives. Julian of Norwich was an English mystic and anchoress best known for Revelations of Divine Love, the earliest surviving book in English written by a woman. Within the Tam lens, she represents the rose stabilizer around 5.3, functioning as a maternal coherence anchor whose message of compassion, all shall be well, acts as a stabilizing field during periods of collective upheaval. So, alongside these mystics, another important archetypal current emerges. Next slide, please. What began to emerge was a fascinating alignment between the mystics, the Magdalene tradition, Philautia, and the archetypal figure of Semjase, representing a refined, evolved expression of love from a broader galactic perspective, Xenia. And that intersection became the inspiration for this conversation, an exploration of how love evolves from its most instinctive forms all the way to its most coherent and universal expression. So what you're seeing here is the Greek expressions of love translated through the TAM model, its mystical voice expression, and the persona I've ascribed to it in this exploration. So in this framework, love isn't just an emotion, it's a level of coherence in the relational field. And each Greek word represents a different way that energy and consciousness can resonate between beings, sorry. So at the lower end of the spectrum, we have mania, which is why we say, oh, she's a maniac, maniac on the floor. I couldn't help, I couldn't resist. Which is distorted attachment, love driven by fear or possession. And that equals compression in the TAM model. Then ludus, playful love, where the field begins to move, but without deep commitment. That's ignition. Next comes eros, the spark of attraction, the ignition between two fields, which results in expansion. And that's hadovich. Storge follows, which is the stabilizing love of family and biological bonding, stabilization. Moving higher, we see philia, the love of friendship, where two people resonate as equals, which equals circulation, things going back and forth. Then philautia, healthy self-love, the inner coherence that creates sovereignty. This equals integration, and that is the frequency of the Magdalene. Beyond that is pragma, enduring love, the kind that builds a life together over time. That equals openness, which is Julian of Norwich. And then Xenia, sacred hospitality, recognizing the divine in others, even across difference, which equals unity. And that is our Semjase. And finally, at the top of the spectrum, the Greeks placed agape, universal love, in TAM terms, represents a state of complete coherence in the field, where love becomes compassion and unity, and dissolution into pure love, which is the Marguerite Perret frequency, because she gave her life at the end for love. So, what this visual suggests is that love can be understood as an ascending spectrum of relational coherence, moving from instinctive attraction all the way to universal and even Christed consciousness and beyond. So, next slide, please. And we're almost done. What's fascinating is that these 8 Greek expressions of love mirror patterns we see in many traditions. The 8 directions of the compass, the 8 petals in sacred geometry, and 8-fold paths in ancient teachings, which suggests the Greeks may have been pointing to something structural about human consciousness, not just different words for love. And so one more slide, actually 2 more. So I began looking at Mary Magdalene, not just as a historical figure, but as a frequency archetype. In Tam language, she represents the feminine coherence counterpart to the Christ axis, not a hierarchy, but a polarity. If the Christ tradition anchors revelation, the Magdalene currently makes that truth relational. The Magdalene current makes that truth relational and embodied. And you may be surprised to learn who Mary Magdalene really was. Rather than the fallen woman portrayed in later traditions, earlier sources describe her as a respected disciple and spiritual leader with profound insight into the nature of inner awakening. In texts such as the Gospel of Mary, she speaks about the soul's liberation from fear and illusion and the realization that the divine is discovered within. In the framework we're exploring today, Magdalene is associated with philautia, the Greek expression of healthy self-love, and with the Tam phase of integration, because her teachings emphasize inner coherence, sovereignty, and the awakening of the divine within oneself. In many modern interpretations, she also represents the feminine aspect of Christ consciousness, embodying wisdom, compassion, and the lived expression of spiritual truth. And the final slide. When we view Semjase as an envoy archetype, Xenia, through the toroidal ether model, it is helpful to think of her archetypally as an envoy consciousness rather than as a personal claim. In Tam terms, this represents a very stable coherence field. So mystics tend to merge vertically through intense spiritual experience, while envoys operate more horizontally, stabilizing coherence between worlds with bridges, helping translate between the two. So I think that is a pretty interesting way of describing Semjase's her legacy that's ongoing.
She's like, oh my God. No, I don't. She's on. I got work to do. I only got like there. Oh my.
Well, of course, we all have work to do. So thank you for your patience, everyone. I hope that was interesting for you, just to set the stage. So let's start. So Semjase.
I'm going to bring her. Yes, I'm the co-pilot when it comes to what gets pulled up. So let's.
No, right now we're just going to be asking questions, so we're good.
Just ask. Awesome. Okay, so
so you can leave Semjase up there because
yeah,
she's the one. It's going to be a 3-yak.
I'm not. She's oh no. There. Yeah. She's I'm on the hot seat. Is she on the hot seat?
Yeah, she's on the hot seat. She's on the hot seat.
Again, I said yes.
Again, yes.
So you can just ask her directly. And yeah.
Okay. So
we have Ika here as well, because we're talking about women. So he's here.
Of course, Ika. Welcome, Ika. Ika's always welcome.
He's here to see the ladies.
He's welcome. Very, very welcome.
He said he's still on the mania and the mania love.
Oh, well, that's okay. But we're going to keep this family rated.
Okay. She said we all got to go. Then that's thanks everyone for watching. And that's
yeah, exactly. Time to go.
I'm gonna
Boring,
thanks.
boring, boring. Okay. So after exploring this spectrum of love, Semjase, from instinctive attraction all the way to universal compassion, so I'm curious, from your perspective, what is love at its most fundamental level?
She said, "Wow." She's she said it's like dissolving, like the mind at 0 point.
Mm,
She says where the body becomes effervescent,
mm,
where the soul encompasses form
mm.
and walks. That's all I got. She said it's
That's all. I got
I
goosebumps. That's
don't
gorgeous.
have anything else. She says you could call it being in the zone.
Ah, yeah, it's true. Well, being in the flow, being in the zone, being authentic, in alignment, all of
Oh,
those
she's
things.
fine. She's like, woo. Like, yeah.
All right. So in the model that I shared with everyone, uh, you were placed at the level of Xenia, sacred hospitality and recognition of the other. So does that resonate with you? I mean, I kind of feel it does with all of your missions, earth missions, etc.
She says, well, she says, thank you. She says, she says, I can't fill those shoes. Um,
Oh, sure she can. She did.
she's, she's she says that, all right, let's see. She says, so many of us have filled those shoes, to bring me forward and to say it's something that I represent she says more vast than that. She's obviously, she says she's honored and she's like, oh, geez, thank you, Renata. She's like, she's, she says this is something that she says resonate with whatever on that scale. She says you feel comfortable with expressing or embodying, and you can embody more than one at any time and move up and down the scale. That's natural because all of us are living these human form existences, and what waits for us at the end is what you call, and as the Greeks had delineated, as agape. Isn't it our mission? Isn't it our desire to walk, to taste, to hold, even in the most fleeting way, that universal consciousness, what so many call the Christ consciousness? Don't beat yourselves up for expecting to be able to hold at all times. And this is a wonderful goal to have and one that some will reach. But it is in the questing, because that's part of the joy is also the pain of being in the physical form. But she says, I am just one little tiny, she's showing me like stars. She says, I'm just one little tiny star in the universe.
Oh, you're a big star, Semjase. You're a big star.
Oh, she's like,
So question, this I'm going off script now. So if uh does and Dr. Andrew, you feel free to jump in too here. You can bring in your Aaron aspect. Is
that's what she says. What she's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she's
So is love something that already exists in its totality? And we kind of, in evolution, decide to move through those levels, experiencing different things in particular. So, do you feel that when we incarnate, that we have that we set ourselves a goal to experience, let's say, one of the kinds of love, like for example, you with the xenia, the sacred hospitality, or the the mania when we start out with things, right? Moving towards the Christ consciousness and then evolving out of the body. So I'm curious to hear how you, Dr. Andrea or Ika, whoever wants to answer that one, can jump in. It's a free for all.
Oh, that's our thing. Well, I'm gonna bring Semjase back in and
Okay, please.
she says you want to bring on her era, right? Her perspective.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
So she doesn't want to uh, she judge or weigh
Hmm.
the scale and expression that the ancient Greeks brought forward. She says, but they weren't they don't we don't she doesn't have a concept of that. So we don't name, she's saying we don't name different kinds. This is her, by the way. We don't, I'm just going to speak as if she's coming to me.
Yep.
It's not channeling, by the way. I'm just going to speak like I'm not speaking as Semjase. So she says, we don't have a scale of love. We only have one understanding of being in this state of the unity consciousness, love. This expression is just okay. She told me, like, she says it's distributed. It's in, she says, think of it as in a wave of the concept of love. She says she likes that idea of the toroid. She says, we're going to look at it this way. She says, think about that toroid, she says.
Hmm.
She says, emanating within the body where you are love. So there is the concept of self-love, but the self is love. She Does that make sense? That the self is love. So that you are physical love, love in physicality. She said, does that make sense?
It makes sense to me in that you're in your unity consciousness because you have on era, that is your baseline, right? So that means that you're already encompassing all of the other uh, expressions that the Greeks are talking about. So you have in your unity consciousness, you're expressing familial love, filial love, amorous love, all of those different kinds of love, but through the lens of unity consciousness. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, she says, correct, right. She says it isn't, we don't see it as a scale. We see it as ripples. And there's a symbiotic, she is like that torsion wheel of love being received and of the love being expressed. And the self-love, she says, is that egoless love. Well, she says we have ego, obviously. But she's saying it is the, she's almost thinking of it like a heat source that radiates. She says you are a love source that radiates the love. But at the same time, you also pull it in because others are radiating love. So there is a infinity and a symbiosis between all. She says, and this is an idealized form, obviously. That's what we're talking about, is idealized. Um, a conscious awareness of this flow, but that unity consciousness love permeates and uplifts any other form of love that one would express, whether it is through family, through kinship, through service, through romantic love, through the love that you would have, a parent would have for a child, a love that you would have for nature. All of that comes from the same seed. So she,
Yeah, beautiful. I see that. I see that sort of the genesis. If we looked at the toroidal ether model again, where it comes out and comes back, it's like the seed comes from the unity consciousness, and it just gets expressed in every way, and then that expression is returned, and then it feeds the same unity consciousness again, and then out it goes once again. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes, she says exactly. That's what she wants. She want to use that model there. Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
She
I
says
love it.
the other one
Yeah.
is too ladder like, too stage like. Uh,
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I spent like almost 3 hours today. I kind of thought you guys were both in the room smacking me on the head because I kept trying to get I kept trying to get Chat GPT to create a version of that was in the toroidal field or with the 8 petals of a flower with, and it kept messing up all the labeling, and
I
I
can
was like,
imagine. I was gonna say, did you create those? Because I can't imagine doing that with AI. I mean, that was gold.
oh yeah, no, and then I mean that other slide where I had the mystics and Semjase and the Magdalene, that I had to do at the last minute in Canva, and that was not my finest hour, let me tell you, in terms of graphic presentation. But ah, uh, it got the idea across. It got the idea across. Okay, so my next question. So what about um and this is something that I feel humans really struggle with, and I think this is a part of the programming. Like it's
I'm a
so
human. I'm a human.
yes, no, I mean us on Earth, we struggle with
You choose to struggle with it.
sorry.
She says you choose to struggle with it.
Yes, yes, yes. No, I mean in particular, self-love. I think we tend to struggle with that, with a healthy self-love, because it's been drowned, like pounded into us that that's egoic, that's self-centered. You should be thinking about others, you shouldn't be thinking about yourself, blah 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 blah. So, where do you place? Perhaps you can give us a visual. Where do you place healthy self love and self respect, I guess, within that toroidal model?
She says, well, I already told you. And she says, the ego is not love. She says, self love is not self love. It's not loving the self. It is embodied. She says, it is being love. The love is within you.
Mm,
There is no ranking, no ego, no anxiety, no judgment, no fear. She says, how do you, I'm just talking to her now.
yep.
She says, okay, imagine you're a glass and you're empty, and somebody comes by. She says, and they fill you with juice. She says, you're a glass holding juice. That's how you can imagine yourself in this state of love. So she says, rather than saying you have self love, she says, which I think can be misunderstood. She says, we don't use the term self love because it
Mm,
doesn't truly accurately represent the concept of what holding love is. So she says,
mm,
just think of the glass, filling it with juice. Take your body and fill it with love, the unity consciousness, the sensation, the vibration, the warmth of this love. Like you're laying in the sun and the sun's rays are filling you and you feel the warmth of the sun's rays.
mm,
She says that is the sensation. That is the love that you feel in your body and that you then radiate out.
mm. Oh, that's beautiful. So in essence, there are no denser vibrations or programming that you have to deal with because you just simply are love.
Well, she says it's a struggle.
Mm.
She says we have the same emotions, the same trials and issues and concerns and daily shenanigans. She says shenanigans. She says so, but that's so she says you don't beat yourself up for that. That's being in the physical. So
Mm.
if you can walk around holding divine love like that, what's called Christ consciousness or unity consciousness
Mm-hmm.
works for you as a term. It is, she says, day to day, this can be a challenge, but the thing is to recognize it at times and then to realize and to remember that you are that you embody that and you can resonate that. She's especially when you're going through trials and she's no one she's I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. We all have emotions in these bodies, but if you can return, she says, I'm not, and she says, I'm not, not, I know. We have an issue. I got an issue. Let it go. Right. No, so, she says, don't beat yourself up for not being perfect. I'm talking now in sort of the, in an archetype, in an icon, in a concept, she says.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's
Okay.
like, yeah, I don't, I don't, she's, I don't, she's, I don't, yeah, she's most days, yeah, right. I know.
Most days, most days. Well, before I go into the next part, so let's just take it down to the sort of, nitty gritty. So a typical day, you were just saying that you were struggling with stuff too. So what would typically be your kind of struggles? So for us, uh, I'm talking about the programmed human who has a lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, abandonment issues, lack of trust, this kind of thing. These fundamental uh, core wounds that we tend that it's a fact we all have to work through them. Is that a part of your reality when you're talking about having ups and downs and going through stuff, or is it something completely different? So if you can take us through what would be those ups and downs, those trials and tribulations from your perspective, being in a body that is a vessel of love.
Well, I have all those same feelings. We have all those same feelings. We're all one. We're cousins.
Mm.
Uh, Knowing some of the work I have to do, she says it's stressful. Sometimes things don't go as planned. Sometimes things take longer. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I don't feel like it. All these things, she says there really is no difference between, she says working with other individuals that you don't see eye to eye with. She says there's always complications in navigating the world. She said, as she says, she says, I know what you mean, but I know your question.
Mhm.
She's one of her main frustrations is, and I bring, she's in love. Okay. She has a man
Mm.
and it's incredibly painful not to be with him physically.
Mm.
She's like, I can lie to myself and he can lie to himself. And sometimes he says he can't hear me, but he can.
Mm.
And she said, she's very emotional.
Mm.
Um, she's it's incredibly painful. And I can get really angry and frustrated with how
Mm.
things are moving here. And I mean, we'll say along, we'll say he's here too, but it's just, She's experiences in the physical, having dreams, having, she doesn't want to say desires in the sense of desires, she says, but having the draw to want to physically hold your loved one.
Mm.
And she's saying specifically about her man, because she can go home and I can go home but she says also the fact that I can go home and hug my loved ones and you guys can only do it in the astral. And she says all of that becomes very frustrating and a source of great, anxiety and anger and this sense of she's wrong. There's a sense of she's like, putting words into these intense feelings of longing and loss in watching so much pain. She's it that's all that all makes things very difficult. I'm just gonna saying this is what it feels like a lot of times. And she's we can she says pull down different philosophies and understand things in the vastness of time, in this circle of eternity, in the lives that we remember and lives that we know we will have. But she says ultimately in we sink back into the now. And that's some not only where the love can be, she says, but it's also where the pain can be. So you can have the love and the pain together, sandwiched together. So she,
Mm. Oh, thank you for that. That was so much energy came through. My light fell off the
oh,
table.
your life. You laugh, you laugh.
It's okay. So if I'm sitting here in a slightly darker place, you'll know why. Um, there was just like this tsunami of the light fell away. Okay, so that's fine. So, so to continue with that beautiful, beautiful theme. So if I said in your consciousness, Semjase, the measure of love equals the measure of pain. Am I hitting the mark?
She says it's so interesting that you mentioned that, Renata, because isn't that true?
Mm.
The more we love, the more pain we feel, because the pain is reflected back.
Mm.
What do you want? Sure. The more you love, she says, because the more you can love, the more you can hold love. It casts a shadow, and the more you feel pain. And you can rationalize in your brain about all the different aspects and about what you should feel and what's reality and all these things like that. She's trying to show me and she's saying, but ultimately there is pain.
Mm.
She's an I is it not an aspect of fully reaching and holding love to know that there is also a degree of pain? Does she?
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, well, I thought I think this is a very, very important point to make because, what's that expression? Still waters run deep, right? If the,
She said love hurts.
yeah, love, isn't that a song?
It
Yeah.
is. That's what she said.
All right. Okay. So because I think a lot of people who may be watching shows like this, I'm not going to say our audience in particular, but um, tend to uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Put uh, Aryan civilization and that kind of love on a pedestal to make it, to it's all seeing it through rose-colored glasses when the reality is the deeper you delve into your own consciousness and you evolve your unity consciousness, the greater the expression of sorrow and pain that comes along with it. So idealize, that's the word I'm looking for. Uh, Tend to idealize the galactic civilizations. We think that, oh, well, when we go back to, being in, in our star families, etc., we're not going to have this kind of suffering and crap that we have here. So, but the truth is, if we're looking at it from a broader perspective, it's of course, there's greater joy, but there's also going to be a deeper level of, I'm not going to call it suffering, but a, a, an equal and proportionate echo on the opposite side of the field of that love coherence when it's not there. So maybe you can just talk about that a little bit more.
She says, I think you just described love.
Mm.
That's what she said.
That's it. Wow.
I
Okay.
think
Well,
you
I'm glad we're recording this because the heck, yeah.
you
If anybody ever asked me to repeat that,
I know she says, well, you just described what she just described love.
oh, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Semjase. So humans are often motivated by necessity or social convention to get together with another person. So, for example, out of economic need, out of, I know the first time I got married was to get my mom off my back, you know. It had nothing to do with any elevated form of love. It was, I felt I was simply fulfilling a social convention and making my family happy. So I don't suppose there's anything like that. Of course, you don't have to you get married out of, any kind of uh, financial necessity, but is there still some sort of level of social convention, or am I wet behind the ears here?
No, no, not at all. She says, not so much the economics, she says, but there are, as people navigate life, yes, there are connections and arrangements that are made out of, what does she want to say? She's, she doesn't really, she doesn't want, I don't want to say they're wrong. She don't look at them as wrong choices. She says they're just choices.
Mm.
You have to give yourself the ability and the capacity to move. To She's what you call fail, what we call well failing. They're not failures. She says they're just experiences. And to not beat yourself up or make this, she says those are all. Oh, she's okay. Let me say she says on era,
Mm-hmm.
those are just accepted. If you stumble, she says,
Mm.
um, that's okay. There's not a lot of repercussions. There's not that self-flagellation, she says. Now, some people, everybody's individual, but she says, I think she says, I feel, Renata, that your question is about, do we jump into situations that are mistakes? Of course, we're not what we call infallible. We're
Mm-hmm,
human.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, but is it like is it out of some sort of not, we all make mistakes, of course,
Right. She's
like,
saying, what?
but
Right. Right. Yeah.
but do you have those kinds of social or familial pressures that
Yes.
would
She says, yes, of course. Yes.
oh, okay. So what if you can just describe those a little bit?
Well, there's so many because it depends on all of the different millions and millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
She's okay. We all get born, she said, and then we navigate. the different experiences and needs and desires. And she's showing jumping and all the different things. She says, people you meet,
Mhm.
people you want to meet, yearning, all of these things are part of existence. I think she says she's trying, just don't judge them so hard.
Mm.
You should, that's what, she's like, I'm not trying to, I can't talk about humanity on your planet. She's on Earth as a,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, she says, because everybody's same thing as it is on Era, where there's all different experiences that people are going through.
Mhm.
She's all I can say is, maybe she's, if you want me to create a perspective, is I said maybe it's because I'm kind of throwing some stuff back to her, saying,
Mhm. Mhm.
so I asked her, is there a sense there might be a sense of pressure here on Earth because of the lifespan?
Mhm.
She's okay. She says in that case, she's okay. If you were going to live 300 to 500 years,
Mm.
she says the idea of a physical life doesn't exist. She's I don't want. She doesn't want to create belief systems. You know what I mean? She's trying to say I don't
Mhm.
want a belief system, but she's there. She says the idea of of one physical experience doesn't exist. You don't just live a life. She says if you wanted to see it, and again, she says I'm not trying to impose views or anything. She says you can just imagine it's a train track, an endless train track. She says you go through lives.
Mhm.
You know, there's no end. It's just continual. So actually, I'm just going to go back to what I had said earlier. Is just not to create hangups. She says on these different types of experiences and things that weren't to your liking. She's in, and as you said, Renata, when you feel, when we have the same thing, she's saying, when you feel pressured to make certain decisions
Mhm.
or do certain things that
Yeah.
you do to please others. And
Mhm.
ultimately, she says that's love, because she says you love them and you feel that this is an expression of how you can show that love for them. You're never losing. She's going back to the cup. She said,
Mhm.
no matter what you do, she says, you're never losing. And this is probably, she thinks maybe she say it's a mistake. She said, but this is a mistake that some people may have, where they feel that engaging in certain paths and decisions degrade or drain the love that's in their cup. She says that never happens. The love that you hold in your glass, she says, imagine you're the glass, the love that you hold in that glass, she says, never drains. She says, it's impossible for that love to drain.
Mm.
She says, maybe in that sense, people who regrets of things that they have done. We
Regret.
all have regrets.
That's the word that
Because
we
we all,
can. Yeah.
she says, we all have. She says, I don't know anyone who doesn't have regrets. She says, you can't
Yeah.
possibly live a physical existence and not have regrets. Um, not to beat yourself up. She's not to weigh yourself down with this thing. She's the worst thing you can do. She says you're self-sabotaging. She says you're making your situation far worse when you just flagellate, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
She says just, and I'm throwing some stuff back at her.
Okay.
So the question I threw back at her was, well, what if people feel that they are that they are surrounding themselves with other individuals who are judging them? And I think, isn't that a lot of what people, and this is can be on Era as well. It isn't just an Earth thing. So I'm throwing this back at through her, and it's like I
Mhm.
think what people tend to do is if they make a mistake, well, just say, right, I'm just going to call it a mistake for now for ease of language.
Yep.
um they make a mistake that they felt compelled to choose as a choice, right? Because we always have choices and we choose things.
Yep.
So so I'm just going to kind of see where she goes with this. So you make a choice, right? And you regret the choice. But when you made that choice, it was the thing that you thought would make everybody else happy. And you thought
Right.
by default that you would also be happy from this choice, even though you knew deep down it wasn't a good idea. She's like, so when those other people then judge, right? I think isn't this is probably what people are concerned with, right? Because it's easy to forgive yourself. But this might actually shock a lot of humans. I'm just going to throw this out there, right? Because this may be where you're talking, going, Renata, or where some people
Yep.
would have.
Yep.
So you forgive yourself, but other humans around you, and this could be on error too, it's not, there's one thing another, are clinging to that. You made a mistake. You should beat
Exactly.
yourself up forever.
Mm.
Um,
So you may forgive yourself, but they're not forgiving you.
right. And I think that's actually where we're going with a lot of people's problems is that people aren't, they're being weighed down by other people that they surround in their life, that they surround
Mm.
themselves.
Hmm. Who hold grudges and
Right,
judgment and
right. And who are trying to push a person to do a certain thing, right?
right.
And so yeah, she's. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, she says it's misdirected love
Yeah.
because they think that A and B, whatever those choices are the best choice for you, but they're not. But they're doing it out of love, and it's a misdirected love. She says a controlling love,
Hmm.
and this happens everywhere. It isn't. And she's you could even break it down where it's not so much love as it is fear.
Mm. Interesting.
Okay. She's saying you could. She's okay getting into those minds of the other people. She says their love is enmeshed with fear. And she says they have a misunderstood approach to what a life experience can be. And they're trying to micromanage or steer another person's life. So they're kind of, she says, it's something like living vicariously through somebody else, but more based on a misguided, fear based love. And I'm asking what? I said, what? She said, well, I don't know. That's their business. She's like, she says, she's the one this is some of the frustration that we were talking about. She says, isn't this some of the frustration?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, sure. For sure.
Um, she's where you may feel like you're like, hey, I'm fine with this situation that I have experienced. And she's like, why are they still carrying it? She's okay. She says, we go back to communication. She says, well, maybe sit down with them in a calm. She's and to be in the space of love when you sit down with them and to explain that A, B, or C happened and it wasn't or didn't unfurl. She said it didn't unfurl in the way that we had all hoped it would.
Hmm.
But we move on. She says, but I've moved on. Which actually, it's funny that you say that. I said, shut up. I keep telling you that. I said, I can. Um, yeah. She says you could try. She says there's She says there's no perfect way. You can't expect perfect outcomes.
Hmm.
She says ultimately at the end, we all do our best.
Okay.
And she says you just gotta, she says, well, that will be one of the choices. Do you want to live their lives or do you want to live yours?
Hmm.
That's just,
Okay. Well, that is, thank you for that. Thank you for that beautiful broad spectrum response. Yeah, so I was looking for whether or not in your social structure that kind of pressure exists. You've confirmed that. I
yes,
was
yes,
wondering whether regret exists. You've
yes, of
confirmed
course.
that. Also judgment, etc. All of that stuff, of
Yes.
course.
You just,
So
yeah, of course.
check,
Yes.
check. But what I really love about what you said was this analogy of the full glass of water. And no matter if you have your amount of love, and whether you choose to, let's say, you're in love with someone, and your parents want you to marry somebody else. Well, um, if you for there might be some sort of a very good reason. So regardless of who you choose and what path you take, it's still an expression of love. It may be a compromise, but it's still an expression of love. So I loved that explanation. And it may not unfold, as you said, or unfurl the way you want it to, but it's in the scope of things. I suppose when you live 500 years, it's a little bit easier to to go, oh, okay, well, but regardless, I loved the positive take that you presented on that. Um, so just any final comments on that, and then we'll move on to the next point.
Yeah, and she says, ultimately, this would be an expression of love where you don't beat yourself up over something that didn't work out well, and you don't beat the other person up about something that didn't work out well.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking in the sense of, she says if there were two people who married, she says if there are two people who married, so we do have divorce and error, by the way. It's not divorce,
Yes.
you just walk away. So there's absolutely complicated situations like that where you have what we'll call marriage, right, which a union. She's a union,
Hmm. Hmm.
where there's children and things don't work out. She
Yeah.
says, but she's just placing that on the table, saying and being clear that things don't aren't working out. You can do that in love,
Hmm.
and that's because that's forgiving. She says that is about forgiving. It
Mm.
comes from understanding that she says we're not perfect and that experiences that she says the experiences themselves aren't perfect. She's no
Yeah.
such she says there's no such thing as a perfect experience or to expect a perfect experience. That's a problem, she said. If you have an inflexibility to accept variation, she says if you have an inflexibility to understand that experiences, moments, expectations aren't perfect and aren't going to roll out in a way that you, she says, are molding or shaping or demanding. She says you can't demand.
Hmm.
And that she says that's not love.
No, that's a
Love,
violation of free will.
she says love is flexibility.
Hmm.
And love is holding that understanding that no other being is perfect. She put down quotes like perfect,
Hmm.
love is accepting. That's what we
Exactly.
call unconditional. She says love is unconditional. And when you create conditions That's not love. She says love cannot exist in conditions. She
Exactly.
says, I'm not sure that answers your question. She said, I'm not sure.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Yay. No, that was perfect.
Ika,
Exactly.
Ika
And
is perfect. He just wants everybody to understand that he's perfect.
of course, the guy would say that, right?
He uses it as the evaluator. Weigh things against, oh, is it? Oh.
Oh, well, I was going to go down that rabbit hole, but Ika, you've just defined perfection for us, so we don't need to now. All right. So I'm just watching the time here. So I have a couple of more fun questions, and then maybe we can move towards wrapping things up. But um, so on Earth we have, and this is where we can get a little spicy if you want.
Oh,
We have, yay, we have love languages, right? So people express love in different ways. So do you see that as a valid, or is every authentic expression of love simply love? So, for example, someone may be particularly verbose. Someone may be just, you know, doing actions for someone, and they're not really able to verbalize their emotions, but they're very good at doing things to, for that person. That's the kind of, what everyone has a different love language, for example. So, is does that translate into the Aryan culture, and is that part of the romantic stage? And how do the love languages dovetail with the courtship or romantic phase? I think everybody wants to know
just, oh my, Sheila.
that.
Jesus, we don't have a love language.
Okay.
So she knows what you mean.
Okay.
She says, how am I going to navigate that?
Oh, you can do it, Semjase. Come on.
She says, love is okay. Romantic love.
Yeah. So
She's
romantic love courtship.
all love exists in that overarching, fulfilled resonance. You go back to that toroidal concept, she says, right? She says, okay. She just think of that toroidal field, and that is the love in you. She says that is the love in you that is live outside you. That is the love that is around you, in between you. And she says, as it spins, she says it releases. Almost like she said, think of your sun releasing in releasing those sunspots. She says something like that. She says,
Mm.
so you're she said that makes sense. Now she's like, she's like, all right. Yeah, wait a minute. She'll go, okay. She says, think of your, she's, I've never thought about this stuff. She's, I have no, I don't never thought about this.
That's why this is so much fun. Neither have I.
Us, your son, she says, a son. And the sun is unity, consciousness, love, the higher love, agape love. She says on your chart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is love. She's okay. She says, now, this sun begins to splinter off. And she says, this is how we have children.
Mm.
So a child is an expression of a love, of a larger love that makes a child. So the child is a physical manifestation of an expression of love. So she says you have your son. She's and that is your main love. And then it branches off in different expressions of this love. But she says the main love is the same, whether it's the love that you hold in you, the love that your parents have, the love that you have for your child, the love that you have for nature, the love that you have for a being that you're with. And she's saying like pets, right? She
Mhm.
says, and it's the same love that you would have for a partner. The only difference is she's showing me like roots on a plant. Okay, so she says you get the roots on a plant. The only difference is she says where the roots branch. So how that love gets expressed, how that love gets morphed into a slightly different experience in the physical form and in the she's the larger form, the essence form. She says it as those roots or as the sunspot. She says they emerge. That is how love is expressed between two beings. It isn't what you do or how you do. It's a radiation.
Mm.
She so I'm just throwing something back at her. Okay, she's so I said Renata mentioned something about doing something for someone, and she says, well, she says the doing something can or cannot be love. She says it is both a piece of it and not a piece of it.
Mm.
Doing something. She's okay. I'm going to excise that. She says, so
Yep.
doing something is not love. It won't create love.
Mm.
You can't create love. She says, love is.
Mm.
And okay, what are you sure? Okay. She said she's showing me this. She says, let me show you something.
Mhm.
It's 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 a wave. She says, like a wave.
Mm.
It's not thought, it's felt. And in the
Mm.
feeling, it's thought. She's a you know, there's no complications. It's an it allows and it is. So I'm throwing some I'm throwing it back to her like so.
Mhm.
So I said to her, I said, what if somebody is in a situation where they feel they need to do something for a partner? She says she kind of like she says, well, that's not love.
Mm. That's obligation.
Right.
Right.
So that's okay.
Yeah, well, this is one of the reasons we're so messed up down here is because most of the things that we do is out of obligation or pressure or
Well, that's not
social
I mean, yeah,
norm
she
or
says so
programming. Yeah, it's not love.
she says that's not love. Right.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Which is what which
Right,
is
right. No, 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 that's that's like she says that's a reciprocation,
Mhm.
a deal, she says.
Yeah, that's conditional love, not unconditional love.
But she says it's not even conditional. She says it could be. She says, but it's
Yeah.
more of a a relationship based upon reciprocating actions. Does that make
Yeah.
that
Well, that's
nice?
codependency.
She says, oh, no, she says people accuse those. She says I don't she doesn't see it as that complicated. She just says if you are obligated
Hmm.
to make a transaction, right,
Hmm. Hmm.
with
Hmm.
someone,
Hmm.
she says
Hmm.
that's your relationship, right?
Hmm.
She's saying
Hmm.
that's not love. She says that's a business deal. She says
Yeah.
you're making transactions. That's what she was saying, right? I mean, I'm just going like right.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
says if you have to think, right,
Hmm.
that's not love. That's
Hmm.
that's that's a transaction,
Yeah. Business.
right?
Yeah.
So love is a flow,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's no like when Nika and I are together, and when Semjase with her partner, um, it's just while we're having conversations or while we're doing stuff together, it's there's this constant energetic feel vibe. What do you want to call it? I don't know. Feel.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're always flowing the love.
Mm.
Like it's hard to put. It's just a sense of how can you? I'm not even sure. How can we even put words this? I know sometimes for Semjase, it's just a lot of pain
Mm.
because the separation for her.
Mm.
And I get it. We all get it. The separation for her and her partner because she's separate from him.
Mm.
I mean, they're both alive and everything. It's just they're not in the same place. Um,
Mm.
that separation is just it's a pain. It's an emotional pain. It's really
Mm.
painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very-
so her love right now is she kind of like I have it on the shelf. It's yeah.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Well, thank you again for that transparency and that beautiful expression. I love this dovetailing that you're talking about. One just flows into the other. It's so beautiful. So I'm just wondering, um,
I think I'm gonna
we
say it, and I
talked
said
about,
it, but you can't. And I just run it by her. I'm like, right, when you love someone,
yeah.
you can't not love them.
Oh, yeah.
It's not possible.
You can't unlove.
Right.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't imagine
no,
ever not loving them.
no, absolutely
It's
not.
effortless. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
And then like in that song that we were going to share with, which is the circle in the sand, which is
Yeah.
I begin where you end.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It is
That's so
that,
beautiful.
and it's like Eka and I can we age, by the way.
Mhm.
We do age. You ever see an old Pleiadian? Um, yeah, hey, all right. I mean, eventually the body will, the physical form. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's done, and you need to get another physical form. So
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the whole, we think about I guess the physical beauty, right?
Hmm.
That's important. But when you love someone, they're always beautiful.
Hmm.
And that's an
Beauty is in
important
the eyes
aspect,
of the
I think,
beholder.
for many envoys here that are separated from their husbands or wives, and they worry,
Hmm.
my body is in the Terran form, and I look like shit, and that's all right. That's all right. That's not an issue.
Well, yeah, well, they
If
say
I say
the
if it makes people happy, we age.
yeah.
There's old Pleiadians, and they look like a dried up potato or whatever. It is a fact. Terrans have a problem with concepts like aging. It's a natural process.
Yeah, yeah.
Many forms of life, not all, but for many. All right.
Actually, I always think it's actually a privilege to age. Think about how many
But
people didn't get that opportunity, right?
we don't have concepts of it's just so natural.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just yeah, there's not a hang up. We don't have wrinkle cream. We don't try to stop it. It's just,
Mm,
why would you want to stop a natural?
process. Exactly.
I mean, to us, it'd be like not peeing, like try, I don't want to
Yeah.
pee. Nobody pees. I mean, it's like, well, everybody pees. It's just like, what? It doesn't even, it doesn't make sense. She's laughing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It just, like, it's not even in, like, a lot of these questions that people ask that, and I get it, that Terrence Earthlings ask. Like, we don't have concepts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's complicated, and it's like, so something like aging. So it's the physical attractiveness. So okay. Terrence is showing, I get, and Ika's here more than, and Semjase gets it, but they have a compressed or illusory notion of
Mm,
attractiveness, and that's fed to them by the media, right?
yeah. Totally.
And when you're attracted to someone, right, that's fed to them. So it's more okay. I think many humans are only understand attraction based upon what they're told they should be attracted to, and that comes from the media
Yeah. That's a
rather than
big,
from a natural
yeah.
type of attraction. Okay.
That's
So
a big poison pen humans have given
yes, and I think many of them purchase another being based on some physical attribute that they think they should be attracted to, because then they can advertise what they were able to score. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. 100%. Yeah,
That's
that's
not gonna,
really
right?
messed up stuff. Yeah.
That's not gonna happen if the ET come. If the, I mean, they're already here, by the way. So if, let's just
Yeah.
say we have open contact
Yeah.
and these gorgeous beings, and we're not we don't breed ourselves to look like any certain way, because we don't have concepts of it. So
Mm.
when they come here, some hot babe. I mean, we're talking. Some of these women are really wow. And I think Billy Meyer, imagine how beautiful. Oh, fucking right. Simia. That's where people are.
I wasn't gonna go there. You said
We're,
it.
we're going there. We're going because somebody needs to cut a cord. So speaking of the bullshit she was throwing, she like laughing now.
Uh-huh.
Cut the cord. No. How many times? How many times? So she's laughing. It's not. They don't. It's not going to work like that. They're not going to be. Are there playgirls and playboys? Yeah, you got to use common sense. But they're not for purchase, and we don't have we don't
Mhm.
even have really a concept of that. We understand prostitution. It's in the unit. It's everywhere.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
understand this kind of thing. It's
Oh,
it is
on many levels, yeah. Mhm.
it's Wild West up there, right? So but it's not like that for us. It's love. I mean, if you're gonna in the correct, like, in a fulfilling. When we say what's correct, well, what if you want to be fulfilled, then it's love, right?
Right.
Otherwise, I think you're just cutting yourself short.
100%.
You're denying yourself a full experience. But Terrans do that all the time. Um,
Yeah.
and upstairs they do too. There's people who do that all the time. So it's, it is what it is.
All right. So speaking of a fulfilling experience,
Oh.
we can end on this one. um, we were talking about the toroidal ether model of love, right? And as we, all the central part is the coherence, the unity, and then there's a resonant frequency that grows and is shared, then it's brought back. And this is the description of love. Now, I'm wondering if you both would describe it in the same way when it comes to physical love, romantic love,
Like
as
love, or you mean like
as in, uh-huh. The $1 million question. So, because okay, I'll spill my beans. So, as long as I've been in a human body, honestly, and I'm sorry if any of my former lovers are watching this, but I have never experienced that kind of coherence that you're talking about. Sure, it's been great sex, but it's not that kind of coherence. It's not that that melding, that experience where there's where you begin, I end, or what's that song you were saying, or the
Oh,
circle and
yes. Right. I begin where you end.
exactly. So this is the kind of, and I feel like there's that toroidal model may be applied to this understanding. And I don't by any means do I mean to cheapen this beautiful conversation. This is
Well,
such
we
a
don't consider that
pure,
cheap.
beautiful.
We
Yeah,
don't. That's
exactly.
yeah.
No, it's the purest thing that two people can do that love each other. So if I'm just wondering if that is a, a way that you feel it, is it that toroidal thing, or is it more like a flow thing, or is it that I begin where you end, etc., etc.? Anyway, how do you experience that? It's just my experience is what I remember, but I have not been able to have it here because it takes two. So, um, if you can describe that and give us some hope on the horizon.
I'm just throwing it back because I got him over here and I got her over here, so I'm gonna throw.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, poor Angia. Everybody's talking at her now.
Well, it's great because we have a perspective from the female and the male.
Yes, this is very good.
Well,
Thank you.
and to be fair, it's just three of us. So I mean, I can't, I'm saying
Yeah,
none of us ever try to say that this is what it's like for everybody. So we can't.
exactly.
But
So,
we have so we don't have to have physical sex to have. Does that make sense? I know humans will understand this, and I'll let you play with it, Renata. But
okay.
we don't have to have physical sex to have that bond. Does that make sense?
Mm, absolutely.
Um,
Sense to me.
so for us, physical union. How can we do, how do you want to describe? You want to describe? It's okay. So actually, it's just like it, it, it's part of the flow. So it's not like, I don't know how Terrans are. I've never been in a relationship with a Terran, so I don't know I only know from hearsay, so I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but
Yeah.
you, and everybody's different, of course, too, right? So I think there's something forced here. Is that the, to me, and again, this is just my perspective. I don't know because I've never had a relationship here on Terra. Um, but from what I hear on TV, and I may be wrong, I don't know, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
is there this sense of like I feel like it's very uncomfortable, it's very forced, it's very like awkward. Does that make is that accurate?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I feel like it doesn't carry the gravitas socially and how do I say this? The your gold standard is not unity consciousness. It's not sacred. It's not expansive. It's literally physical, and it could be exciting. It can be stimulating physically, and a lot of fun, but not necessarily treated with the same gravitas as you would treat it, because you're looking for or because you're already coming from the unity consciousness position, and you're sharing that with another. When two people are not in a unity consciousness, when they're in simply a in agreement,
Okay.
right? It cannot possibly have the same depth and expansiveness and breadth of what you're describing, even not in a physical union, just in connecting with another one, with another that you love, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to have the physical expression, whereas humans would have to have the
Oh,
physical to get even close to that.
really? All
Oh, yeah. I mean,
right.
I'm not a
Like, I
sex
don't know what I said.
therapist, but
Okay.
but in general, I it's that's no, that's not your standard relationship on Earth. No.
I'm drawing it through them. How, I I think it's hard for us, I guess, all of us to answer this question, but I think,
Mm. It's hard to go backwards, right? What they say, what do they
well,
say? You can't, once
my,
you kiss, you
you
can't
had,
go back to holding hands, right?
what we've kind of powwowed on that is that,
Yeah.
mm, and I think there's and I know there's Terrans who have wonderful magical.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying
Uh,
it's not the norm. Yeah.
it's not. I don't. Okay. I mean, it's this. You have to have this deep resonant connection with someone.
Right.
It comes. So I think for some, it's they're lacking that. It's not it's the wrong relationship. Okay, that's what I think we all kind of had a consensus on that. That this is the wrong relationship.
Hmm. Well, you function on coherence, right? We don't necessarily do that. We function on attraction and fulfillment of, you know, of checklists.
But that would be that. Well, again, that's the wrong relationship.
Well, exactly. But until you know yourself, so let me posit that. Uh, until you know yourself, how can you possibly have a fulfilling and resonant, coherent relationship with another?
Wow. I mean, we were all like,
And this is part of evolution, right?
that's no, they don't see it that way. That all right. So Ika's coming more. So he says, sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. So she's where you're going back to where we were with making mistakes, right? Forgiving yourself and not
Mm,
letting. So Ika's going, yeah, yeah. I think she gets. So someone who doesn't know themselves is allowing
mhm.
others to basically parasitize and live vicariously off them. This is what we, this is what, is that,
Yeah, I see that, but I'm just saying
you-
in general, humans don't take the time to know themselves. They jump into relationships and because of expectations and because of obligations and social demands, et cetera, they don't take the time to know one another. And then you find very quickly down the line that there's no resonance, there's no coherence, right? It's not something that comes after you get married or after you decide to be together, right? So I'm just saying that there is a very different approach to choosing the kind of partner you would expect to have a completely fulfilling relationship with. I mean, you start off at the measure of coherence. You don't start off at the measure of attraction, which is a very different measure.
Okay, so they're going back to the same answer. They say, no, we're still going to stick with, we're sticking with this. So it's when you don't, so when you don't know yourself,
Mm-hmm.
it's because you're a caricature. It's because in Semjase, I'm going to go back to the original thing, which is that you're a persona that other people have put upon you. That's what they're both saying, right? So it's simply a person that's choosing not to be themselves. They're
Or
choosing,
not to get to know themselves, not to do the work,
right.
right? Not to
But
do the
there's no
shadow work.
there's no work in knowing yourself. You're yourself. She says he says what they're doing is they're putting their focus on everything outside of them.
Mm.
Their family things, what their friends think, what that kind of thing like that.
But you see, that's the fundamental difference here. Sorry if I'm interrupting anybody, but that's that you just hit the nail on the head. The point is that they don't know themselves because we have been taught that it's hard work to get to know yourself. So all the distractions, all the programming, et cetera, doesn't allow for one to just be themselves and be in their own frequency. I think that's the comparison I'm trying to make here.
Oh, they hear you. They no, they understand. They get it. I mean, they say yeah, but
Yeah,
they said if well, don't expect that to change. They said don't expect anything outside of you to change until you change. So
exactly.
they're saying if you're waiting for a green light, oh, it's March 25th, time to know yourself. No, she says if you're waiting for some kind of like outside event that's gonna be like, oh, you got to mark it in your calendar like today's the day you got to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they're two of them are like that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So you have to make the leap.
Yeah, you have to make the choice to
Got to
self
make that.
actualize. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
exactly.
that's
Beyond all of the interference and the resistance, make the leap to
just walk away.
self action.
Just walk
Yeah.
away.
From all the garbage. Yeah.
Or yeah, especially so just walk away. Just yeah, just like they're like, why would you? She's I'm going back. She says again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
She says you can't allow other people, other and parts of your society. She says, well, you can. She says, but you can't allow outside things to parasitize your body. That's basically what you're talking about is parasitism.
Mm-hmm. 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 But that's the structure here, right? That's how it's been set up, right?
It's only there. Nothing. It's only the structure because you choose to do that.
This is true, but that's a
You're like I don't
deeper,
choose.
that's
Like,
a whole
I,
deeper conversation.
no, I don't choose that.
Yeah, but that's a whole
No,
deeper conversation.
you
Yeah,
like like they're saying it's a choice. Do you
it is.
want to
Ultimately,
be
it is.
miserable or do you want to have, I mean, why would you surround yourself with people that parasitize you? That's another
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's we don't they don't want to like single people out or anything. I mean, that's not something they would ever do.
No.
These are all, they're gonna say the world's not it's not perfect. No one's perfect. And this nice of course Ika.
Except Tika.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, it's well, I'm glad we've come to that conclusion.
It's well, I can just throw. I mean, I have. I mean, I'm with him, but I mean, it's like when I was navigating existence here, there was never a man that I had any resonance with at all.
Hmm.
So I always said, well, why? I mean, I couldn't imagine myself being in a relationship where I didn't love this person,
Hmm.
even if they were, I did,
Yeah.
I found it very confusing. That's,
Hmm.
um, but I would never just get in a relationship with somebody that I didn't love. I think that's like sacrilegious. I think that's terrible.
Yeah. Wow, that's soul
So
crushing.
that's just something that, was for me, and then, um, yeah, I never felt nothing resonated here. Like it's just, there's no, and this is common for a lot of envoys, who have partners,
Yeah.
that nothing ever felt right.
Yeah.
That it was just always off, and they were always looking for that one person.
Yeah. I'm prime example.
Right, and it's just, yeah. I mean, for me, the concept of sexuality here is just never. I would never do that here, never, because it was like, because I knew what it really was.
Exactly, which is why I've been trying to hit home this
Yeah.
what it really is. And does that relate to that toroidal ether model where it's the, I begin where you end kind of
Yes,
thing?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's we don't mark our calendars, I think, like I think I watch, sometimes you see those humans, like, I have to be careful because YouTube, but the human psychologists who are like talk about
Uh-huh.
sex like it's something you have to do so many times a week, or
Right.
like a man's identity is in sexuality.
Yeah.
All that bullshit, because that's all mind control.
Yeah. That's what I'm
That's what
talking
people have to
about.
understand, and this is what we've been saying. Anything outside of you and anything outside that resonates with you, whatever you're being told is mind control. That's all psyop.
Yeah. There we have it. Ding 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 ding.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's people are forcing. I'm Please get this. I'm like, okay, well, they're like handing it to me. So people, I find, this is again me coming from the outside in. I find that the Terrans on this planet are trying to. They're like silly putty. Okay, I'm trying to describe this myself. Um, they remind me of silly putty, and it's like they're silly, and they're pushing themselves into different molds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're like forcing
Not,
them. They're forcing themselves into,
yeah.
like,
Not authentic. Yeah.
yeah, but it's almost they're compelled.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
compelled to fit into different molds, and then they
Exactly.
get angry. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't understand. It's like they live these contrived, forced existences where they're constantly pretending. Or it's like you don't like dark chocolate, but you force yourself to eat dark chocolate because everybody says dark chocolate's great, but you don't really like it. You'd rather have white chocolate. But
Mm-hmm.
no one says, "Oh, you're not supposed to eat white chocolate. That's bad." You got to eat dark chocolate. So you force yourself to eat dark chocolate instead of buying white chocolate, which is what you just.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Which
that's
makes it bad for you, actually. Yeah.
but it's like I've never seen a race of beings so fixated on living a miserable life.
Mm,
It's like they choose to live in misery,
yeah.
like on purpose.
Well, we've all been Stockholm syndromed, right? I mean, that's
I
part
think
of it,
that's
right?
that's a good
Yeah.
that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
it's
in
very
Stockholm.
confusing to me,
Yeah.
to
Well, it would
watch
be.
people light themselves on fire, basically. It's just really,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't get it.
All
It,
right. So just to end things off, because we're coming up to the 2 hour mark here. So
wow.
it's just flown by, including my lamp falling off the table.
Oh, it's Semjase's fault. She's real.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So if humanity were to remember what love truly is, what do you think relationships might look like, hopefully in the near future on Earth?
I'm gonna go to Semjase first. You can wait. She's if she's pulling off what I just said. She says if people can just stop forcing themselves to do things or be things, if they can stop having these expectations, if they can stop
Mm,
creating false narratives for themselves and their lives and for each other.
mm,
She says if they can just stop,
mm-hmm,
eat, and feel. She says just stop. Turn everything off. Just sit, she says, just sit quiet and imagine this little space outside of time, outside of everything, where you feel safe, where you feel understood, where you feel known, and you're absorbing a tranquility, a peace, a timeless zen. She's a,
mm,
imagine what that would be like.
mm,
And then she says, try to hold it. She spends some time every day,
mm,
at any time during the day, even for just a few minutes. She's if that's all you got, just to stop and be. Not about doing or anything. She's just to stop
mm.
and be in silence. She says silence, I mean silence. She says no meditation, no drums, no
Yeah.
she says in silence. And she says, I think you'll want to expand that time and expand that time and expand that time.
Mm,
Because she says this stillness is so rejuvenating. It's so amazing.
mm,
You're gonna want more of it.
mm,
She says, that's what I want to see is people remembering
mm-hmm,
that it's not about this doing and this like expectations and the judging and the she says this just she's not that it's perfect. It's not perfect now. But she says just to try to get into a state of slowness. She says you guys gotta slow down.
mm.
That's a lot of what she's saying. Just slow down.
Beautiful.
But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Beautiful. Does Zika want to chime in?
I told him you're gonna give us a brown nose answer.
Yeah.
Is it? Um, he says, I have faith in you. You can do this.
Mm,
You have the strength. You have
mm,
support. She says you're gonna do it. You're gonna step into it.
mm. Aw. Well, that's beautiful. And so my last sentences would be um, perhaps the evolution of humanity is not about learning how to love, but about remembering, as Semjase said, the full spectrum of what love already is. And perhaps When consciousness enters coherent states of love, something begins to stabilize. Conflict softens, perception clarifies, and growth accelerates. And as Semjase said, in the silence. And perhaps this is why so many mystics have suggested that love is more than an emotion between two people. It may be the very pattern through which reality itself organizes and unfolds. And I agree wholeheartedly with Ika, especially because 2 or 3 days ago I was lying in bed and the song that I got from my family was the hymn to love, the
Yes.
Edith Piaf version.
Yeah.
And if that isn't confirmation that we're all loved and that we're all safe and that there is nothing but beautiful things on the horizon. With that, I'd like to thank Semjase, all of my heart, Ika, with all my heart, and especially you, Dr. Andrea, for this beautiful platform, for allowing this exploration to continue on, and for believing in the power of love, and for all that you do.
Love is the bad guy's kryptonite,
Yes.
but they've destroyed
Yes.
beauty, innocence, purity, and love.
Exactly.
That's why they, you know what, with kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's all send love, purity, joy,
Yeah.
balance to all beings in the universe from our unified field of
Yeah.
the heart
Yeah.
to all of you out there. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And don't forget to visit
I
freemeportal.com,
put that in the description.
our project, bringing the opportunity for everyone to step outside of all of that programming and all of that Stockholm syndrome and get one step closer to what love truly is.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
There we
Beautiful.
go.
Well, we thank our guests.
Yes, thank you.
Semjase gonna just, yeah, she's, I don't know what I'm gonna do. She's like, probably get some work. But Eek will be, he's done. He's done to do anyway. So Eek will be here. Will is on a mission. He's doing some stuff.
Mm,
But yeah, it's we just keep going. Keep
we
on,
just keep going.
keep it.
Just keep on going.
All right. Well, as I thank
One loving thought after the other.
well, we thank the peanut gallery and thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
And as Frank always says, right, we will see you upstairs.
See you up.